Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into Lesson 54, equipping you with a standard, highly effective toolkit to dramatically reduce the time it takes to write notes, all while actively boosting your listening skills. Look, if you're learning in an academic environment, especially in a second language, the sheer volume of information thrown at you during a lecture can feel absolutely paralyzing. But today, we're fixing that. By the end of this, you'll have a brand new system for capturing information quickly and easily.
Here's a quick look at our agenda. We'll start with the note-taking challenge, lay down some rules for efficient notes, dive into essential symbols for speed, look at common academic abbreviations, and finally, practice transforming full sentences into shorthand notes.
All right, kicking things off with Part 1, the note-taking challenge.
I've got to ask you directly, do you ever feel like you're just drowning in words when a professor speaks too quickly? You're sitting there, the slides are flashing by, the speaker's making point after point, and you're desperately trying to get it all down. Then you miss one single sentence, and suddenly, you're completely lost. It's an incredibly common experience, and our source materials pinpoint exactly why this happens to so many dedicated learners.
The absolute biggest mistake students make is trying to be a human tape recorder. When you try to transcribe every single word, including all the grammatical fluff like the, or is, you are practically guaranteeing that you'll fall behind. On top of that, you're trying to process really complex information in real time. Add in an unfamiliar accent or getting stuck on a vocabulary word you don't instantly recognize, and boom, your note-taking process just grinds to a total halt. Remember, good note-taking isn't about getting everything on paper. It's about selectively capturing the right triggers to help your memory later.
So, how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 2, Rules for Efficient Notes.
We've got 4 simple steps to shift your mindset. First, listen for the main points, the dates, the events, the big reasons. Second, capture only the crucial content words. We're talking mostly nouns and verbs here. Third, be absolutely ruthless about leaving out determiners and auxiliary verbs. You simply don't need to write words like a, the, is, or are. Just write the concept itself. And finally, step 4, heavily utilize a visual toolkit of abbreviations and symbols. Follow these guidelines and you literally stop transcribing and start actively decoding.
Let's build that toolkit. Moving into Section 3, Essential Symbols for Speed.
Check out how we can replace common conjunctions and prepositions with universal mathematical symbols to save some serious time. Instead of writing "this leads to" or "results in," just draw an arrow. If a lecturer says this concept is the same as that one, throw down an equal sign. If they're contrasting two things, use the not equal to sign. You can use a plus sign for and, a slash for or, and the @ symbol for locations or times. These literally take milliseconds to write but pack massive amounts of relational data for your brain to review later.
Now, if you're thinking this looks a whole lot like a text message, you hit the nail on the head. If you've ever fired off a text using short forms like "see you at 8" to quickly get a point across, you already possess the exact skill needed for academic shorthand. You already know how to strip a sentence of its grammar and leave only the core meaning. We're just applying that exact same everyday logic to high-level lectures.
All right, let's expand that vocabulary in Section 4, Common Academic Abbreviations.
Abbreviations are a total game changer for your note-taking speed because they systematically shrink long, multisyllable academic words down to just a few letters. Approximately becomes approx. Information is just info. Different becomes diff. And definitely pay attention to those last two. SB for somebody and STH for something. These pop up all the time in language and social science lectures. By consistently using these standard abbreviations, you are physically writing less, which frees up your brain's processing power to actually listen to what the professor means rather than just how they're saying it.
Now, a really crucial point here is distinguishing between 2 very commonly confused Latin abbreviations. Getting this right lets you quickly separate a definition from an example in your notes. IE stands for id est, which basically means that is or in other words. You use this one when the speaker is clarifying a definition. On the flip side, EG stands for exempli gratia, meaning for example. You use that when the speaker gives a specific instance of a broader category. Mixing these up can cause a huge headache when you're reviewing for a test, so locking down this distinction is absolutely critical.
Let's put this all together in our final section, transforming sentences to notes. Take a look at this clunky original sentence on the left compared to our sleek notes on the right. The original says, "The study at Heidelberg University investigated lucid dreaming, that is to say, dreams which the dreamer is aware of." Now look at the transformation. We drop the word "the." University became uni. We dropped the verb investigated and just swapped in the word on. And the best part? We swapped the entire 5-word phrase, that is to say dreams which, for our simple abbreviation, IE. We saved ourselves from writing over a dozen letters but kept 100% of the factual meaning.
Continuing with that same study, see how approximately instantly shrinks down to approx? We drop the auxiliary verb were. We abbreviate lucid dreaming to its acronym LD because it's the main topic, and there's no way we need to keep writing it out every time. Different becomes diff, and for example is perfectly and instantly captured by EG. Again, if you're frantically trying to write every single word of the original text, you are going to miss whatever point the lecturer makes next. This abbreviated version takes half the time to jot down.
This final example perfectly brings our ultimate goal into focus. Look at this one, derived straight from our source material on memory aids. The original text is this long, drawn-out explanation about how prepaid cards work and their impact on travel. But the notes? Stunningly simple. Prepaid cards, an arrow, travel, a dash, and major cities. Using that simple arrow symbol for leads to or transforms creates this powerful memory trigger. When you look back at these notes later, that arrow will prompt your brain to recall the whole concept of cause and effect without forcing you to write a full sentence in the moment. Remember, your notes are meant to act as a trigger, not a literal transcript.
By adopting this standard system of abbreviations and symbols, you can completely eliminate that feeling of note-taking overwhelm. Great notes aren't a word-for-word record. They're your own personalized map of a lecture's core ideas. So I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you sit down in a lecture hall or hit play on an academic presentation, are you going to let the wave of words wash over you, or will you use your new code to capture exactly what matters? Start small, pick just 3 symbols to use today, and watch how much more you actually hear.